it's funny. I was talking to a colleague the other day about Bitcoin, digital currency, and we kind of blockchain technology in general. And I was like, well, I don't understand it. Like I have a hard time really understanding it. Like the money doesn't exist. And he made a good point. He's like, well, like, do you understand like how debit cards work? Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't understand the technology behind debit cards. And do I care? No, I don't
Yeah.
care. So it's funny that in this like new shiny word of, digital currency, there's this like fear factor of the unknown. And so I have this keenness to understand better, to have more information about it so that I can leverage it in a way that, would potentially benefit me. But if I don't know anything about it, but do we need to know about it, or is it literally that simple? Like it's a debit card. It doesn't matter. Just consider it like a currency, just like
Yeah.
any other currency.
That's a good question. And that is one of the biggest challenges for the whole industry right now, which is that the folks that got into it are extremely nerdy, and the folks that are going to make it big are not that nerdy. So we need like email runs on POP3. You don't need to know that. You don't need to know about HTML really. Like you might have learned a little bit in like high school. You might have done a basic web page, and that was it for most folks in terms of coding that are about our age. So we need it to be as simple as the internet is today. And the beautiful thing, and why I personally am willing to invest, and I'll even throw the brackets around investment in Bitcoin, is that look how crappy the internet experience is still in most places. Like we're early because the internet barely works sometimes, except it does work really well. Like, overall it works really well. And seeing in the last 30 years how much better it's gotten, when you look at just yesterday and 2 days ago was the Futurist 2020 conference in Toronto. And I was sort of thinking about ideas that people were presenting, like the price of the entire faith and hope for digital finance, the future of digital currency, is only 21,000 Canadian dollars. Like that's not a lot when you think about the entire world's use of technology to do finance and transactions and currency and money and gold and stores of value. Like it's still pretty affordable, and that you can divide it into 9 decimal places. Like you can own as little as you need to or as much as you need to send as much or as little to anyone in the world for any reason at any time. That's like the promise of the internet, and it's pretty cool. But the companies that are trying to make it as easy as Gmail, let's say, to use, or as easy as Zoom meetings, and like even the number of challenges that were solved since COVID about using Zoom, like it got easier in months, not years. Those companies are going against governments and banks in terms of like spending or advertising to try and attract customers. It's not cheap to try and get someone to transfer their entire financial future from the existing bank infrastructure to some new digital toy that no one really understands yet. So that level of education or marketing that needs to be done is immense. But again, I see more and more companies every day that I'm in the space that are working on these problems. And if they just invested the money that they were trying to use to convince people to use Bitcoin to buy Bitcoin themselves, in the short term, they'd make way more money potentially. So you've got to believe that there's a strong conviction among people either in the know or with money, time, and technology that we're going down this road. And it's just a question of how quickly we can get down the road.